We have Matt Orton with us. He's Head of Advisory Solutions and Market Strategy, Chief Market Strategist at Raymond James Investment Management. Matt, very good morning to you here from Mumbai. And, we just wanted to get a sense of how you're seeing Indian markets right now. And there's interesting data we pulled up about the number of shorts building up by foreign investors in Indian derivatives. That seems to be growing. There seems to be some pressure building there. How do you look at Indian markets right now?
Hi, good morning, Tamana. It's always great to join you. And I think the foreign investors are looking at India almost as a trade-off. It's been an area where they found a lot of success in the past. And rather than waiting for the risk of a potential trade deal or not, there's a pivot, I think, happening where a lot of investors are leaning into, I'd say, the success that Chinese markets have had. China used to be one of the most hated markets across emerging market investors, and they've had a pretty good run. So I think there's a lot of momentum chasing that's happening in this market, and it's not just between India and China. The same thing's happening domestically in the US. Momentum continues to work outside of maybe a blip on the first day of the new quarter where we saw a little bit of an unwind and a reallocation of capital. But I suspect until you get some good earnings numbers and the fundamentals show that things in India continue to make progress, or that you get a trade deal, I'm not sure you're going to see a significant change in that. But to me as an investor, I think that's a great opportunity. Part of the optimism I've had in India isn't just the incredible fundamentals. It's the fact that it's a forgotten, overlooked market, unfortunately, by a lot of foreign investors, and they're missing tremendous value in doing so. And so when you're able to own high quality businesses at prices that aren't necessarily reflecting where futures or earnings are going to be, that to me is a great opportunity. So I continue to like India. It continues to be my favorite market outside of the US as a single country. And if there is more weakness, I'll continue to lean into it, because I think the results I'm seeing across the companies I own look very, very strong.
Get into that bit. It's been a big weekend of results post-trade on Friday, and I know that this is something that you look at closely. You've had Reliance Industries post, you have top private banks. Among what you hold and the results that you've seen, what's your take, Matt?
So I think the best results that I've seen so far have been, no surprise, ICICI. The company continues to execute. They deserve the premium multiple that they're given in the market. And again, it was another fantastic quarter. You're seeing management be able to execute what's a little bit more of a challenging net interest margin environment, but the success they have across their business, particularly the growth that they continue to see in their business segment, while being cautious and pragmatic about not extending too much credit in the retail segment, I think it's a very thoughtful execution, and I remain very enthusiastic about the results that we've seen there. And a company like Reliance, for example, the results, I've read a lot of reports over the weekend. I've looked through the numbers myself. I think the take is a little bit mixed. They came in below, I think, what a lot of consensus estimates may have been, but the strength in the digital segment and the oil to chemical possibilities for improvement, that to me, I think looks very, very attractive. And so that's a name that might be a potential add into portfolios, because I think the results speak to fundamental improvements that we're likely to see play out over the coming 12 months.
Matt, thanks so much for that view. I want to zoom out just a tad bit, though. I want to talk about the implications of what you're seeing in Japan. Of course, those markets shut today, but some implications for the yen, political instability and the change. We were discussing it just before you joined, the fact that a lot of voters around the world are being are taking a different view. They're saying, we want to look at our needs first, and you do whatever you have to on the trade front globally then. And so a lot more protectionism across the globe. What are the implications for global investors then from that perspective? And in the context of what you said about India, do you move back to a scenario where global investors, with a lack of many options, will turn increasingly to the one market that seems to be growing faster than anybody else?
I think it speaks to the fact that selectivity is really, really important in these markets. While I think the macro backdrop globally is encouraging, the fact that a lot of different economies, the US included, Europe included, India included, have been able to weather the uncertainty that we've had from tariffs. When you look at a country like Japan that has been a slower growing economy, that is finally starting to see a little bit of inflation creep in, I think what happened in Japan leading up to this election was an overreaction by investors. As you saw the yen really fall, you're seeing it bid up a little bit in overnight trading right now. And I think it speaks to the fact that you're likely not going to see turnover with respect to the prime minister. That's marginally encouraging. But a market like Japan, I think, still has to prove itself with respect to the earnings growth that we need to see, with respect to the ability of the economy to grow. And in the interim, why not look to markets that are actually producing that growth, both on the micro and the macro side? A market like India, even in Europe, you're seeing earnings growth start to re-accelerate higher. And over the next 12 months, earnings growth in Europe might even exceed earnings growth in the US. So that's another market globally that I have my eye on, particularly financial, since we've been talking about that. But I think there's a lot of opportunities around the world for investors to lean into what's working, and you don't need to own the stuff that's not. So selectivity is the main theme I try to give our clients with respect to how to think about investing across the rest of the world.
Top buy for India or from India?
Yeah, I think India is one that all investors need to have
Top
on their
company,
radar.
top company.
Oh, top company in India? I think right now ICICI Bank is a top company, and any weakness you see is definitely a buying opportunity.
Okay, super. Thank you so much for that, Matt Orton there.